Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker, and we're here to look at teas because perhaps you're thinking about getting a new tea. Maybe you've heard some good things about Dragon Well tea, for example, and you think, okay, I'm gonna check this out. But there are so many companies out there that have Dragon Well, and you read the reviews, and everybody's saying, oh, this is a grassy tea, and that word grassy is getting passed around just so much that it's lost all its meaning. So you're still left with that question of how do I choose which one, which kind of tea, and once I choose the kind of tea, who's going to offer the better choice of that kind of tea? Well, that's what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be looking at those teas one by one. We've looked at over 200 and around 240 teas already, and the seasons change and things change, and so we're constantly uncovering those new teas and helping you make that choice. So today we've got an oolong tea from Taiwan. So this is a chance, if you're in the market for a Taiwanese oolong, this may be a choice that you either gravitate toward or you're going to steer away from. But we're going to find out that kind of together today. So we've got a little bit of basic equipment. I use the gaiwan because it's a very standard practice to use a gaiwan or something similar with a bowl, which just basically putting some tea in some hot water, steeping it so that it's so that things like the shape of the teapot don't really interfere with what's happening with the teas, so that you can look at the teas as they steep, you can smell them, you can get those leaves out and look at those, and they really explore your tea. So to do that, got the gaiwan, got a teaspoon here, got my tea, and you're going to notice that this kind of tea, as we said, a Taiwanese oolong, the AliShan is the kind of tea. It's crumpled into balls, and so these are going to expand quite a bit. That's one of the things we're going to notice as we talk about oolongs in a gaiwan like this. So I've got a full teaspoon here. It's piled over. You drop that in, and that's covering the bottom of. I don't really see the very bottom of my cup anymore, or my gaiwan, I should say. But I want to add just a little bit more, just to kind of show what's going to happen with this. I use a little bit more because as you go through the steeping process, you want to really draw out both the strengths and weaknesses of a tea, so that you can explore that tea for yourself. My water's been brought to a boil. It's been cooling now for probably 50 seconds rather, or a little over a minute as I've been talking here. I'm filling up my gaiwan with enough water so that when I put my lid on and drop it down, there's going to be water that rises up above the rim of the lid, creating a kind of airtight seal, because when air does touch that liquid, it can change the tea rather. It can change its color a little bit. So we want to kind of protect that from the outside air. So while that's steeping, and we're going to give it a good thorough steep, let's introduce this tea. This is from Adagio. This is from their Masters collection. That's kind of rattling a little bit. As the heat builds up, a little bit of air in the dome here of the lid is trying to escape because there's not enough space for it anymore. But again, Adagio teas, Fujian. I've been saying this. I correct myself. This is interesting. Fujian. Let me just read this. FormosaAliShan. Okay. Fujian is on the mainland of China, Fujian province of mainland China. Underneath it says an oolong from Taiwan. Okay, when I went to the Adagio's page, it talks about this tea. It describes this tea as a Formosa, a Taiwanese type of tea. And actually, this could be an incorrect label, because I believe the correct labeling should be, and what you should see online, is FormosaAliShan. Okay, so depending on your label and when you get it and what condition it's in, note this most likely appears to be a Formosa, a Taiwanese AliShan, not a Fujian mainland, i.e. mainland China Taiwanese oolong tea, rather. Okay. Anyway, this sample size like this is offered for $9 because it's their Masters collection, which is a little bit of a higher grade a higher quality of tea, that next stage if you're going into new teas. Okay, so let me take a peek at this tea for a minute. That's actually steeped fairly well. I don't want to over steep this too much, so I'm going to stop there, or pause briefly I should say, and pour this tea. So if you're tasting along with, you want to be able to get your some kind of drinking vessel or serving vessel here ready. You're going to get your gaiwan and take it by your middle finger and your thumb there on the edge. Index finger holds the lid in place. Actually, I'm going to push that lid open a little bit more so it'll pour a little faster, a little more smoothly. There we are. That gets those last few drops. Those bottom few drops are darker. They have more flavor, a lot more intense. Okay, let me close that up because we do want to talk about the aromas in there. Set that aside for just a minute. Let's get back to the dry leaf here, though. We do want to look at first. Okay, so as we do, let's give this a sniff. Alishans and a lot of your higher mountain type of teas available from Formosa, they're going to have a floral component. Not all of them will have and again, that would be depending on the amount of roasting. The two teas that are going to be the sweeter, more floral, fragrant type of teas, usually you're going to find are the Lishan and the Alishan. Not exactly the same, but very similar sounding in name. Alishan and Lishan. This is, as we said, an Alishan. And this one's got a little bit of a sweet, there's indication here that there's been a little bit of a light roasting element that's happening here. So you're getting a little bit of a graham cracker type of sweetness here. Okay, so that comes across a little bit with the honey note as well. But those are the two. Anything beyond that is a little bit of a light orchid type of smell. Okay. So let's look at these leaves for just a moment. These are a lighter green, so they have not gotten the more roasting they've gotten, the darker greenish gray, greenish brown colors you get. These are not the full richest green blue area, which would be the very lightest aspect, with a little bit of green yellow. This one's kind of in that middle area. So you over on the lightest oxidation, you've got the green blue, green yellow type. On the deeper roasted, rather not the oxidation but roasted, you're going to get kind of a drabber, darker green gray, a little bit of a green brownish tinge to that. This one's a little bit slightly away from the middle, over towards that roasted note. So you're getting some of this drabber, greenish, pale yellow. You're getting kind of a dark, rich greens there. Okay. You're getting balled up pieces that indicate, and you're seeing a little bit of stem kind of curled up in there as well in these balls. These are pretty good sized balls. And so that means that there's going to be usually going to mean that there's more than one leaf there together. As far as the sheen or shine on these, light. I mean, there's a little bit of shimmer to this, indicating there's some oils that are present there. Okay, not a lot of sheen, but a tinge, I would say, a tad. Okay, so don't want to let this liquor cool off too much. Although with a lot of your Alishans and your Lishans, they do tend to be, the aroma component tends to be a little bit more pronounced as the tea cools. So this is to our benefit right now. We don't want it to cool too much though. Let's give it a sniff here, the wet leaf. Okay, you're getting a little bit of, you're getting some floral components. And again, this is kind of a woodsy type floral component. This is some of the English laurel. This is a little bit of a shrubby type of, English laurel, or those type of hedges that you'll find around your home. Little white flowers, kind of a woody type of scent. A little bit of, maybe perhaps even if they've been trimmed, if the hedge has been trimmed recently, a little bit of that sappy type of sweet wood notes coming out there. That's what those are the main components coming off of this wet leaf here. Let's look at a few of these leaves, and I'm looking first foremost for sets. Not coming across connected sets yet, but here's an example of a very large size leaf here. Notice this leaf is probably 2 to 3 inches in length here. That is a big leaf. So let's set that out. It is a deep, still a rich green in color. Let me match that out so you can really see. Great thing about a lot of these Alishan, these higher mountain Taiwanese, higher elevation Taiwanese oolongs, nice, rich, nice full-size leaves to really look at and admire for a lot of them. Okay, now here is an example. This is what I was looking for. A leaf. Not as big, but well, yeah, actually about the same, nearly the same size. A nice big leaf. Another leaf here. Let's open that one up. You're noticing that these leaves are easily unfurled. This was one steeping and they've unfurled that much already. A third leaf, a remnant of a fourth leaf, and perhaps a little bit of a broken bud or tip there. So that's a lot to look at. It's going to be hard to put in this single lid here, but we're going to try to work it out, and I'm going to try to get it all in there together. There we are. Okay, so that's what you're seeing. Sets, large leaves, broad leaves. They're mature in size. They are not thick, leathery in their feel, or they tear pretty easily. So they're still got a lot of tenderness to them. So they're not they're not very old, heavy type of leaf. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead. We've talked about our leaf here. Let's go to our liquor. As we said, we don't want that. That should be ready to go now. A rich honey type of color there. A light, a pale summer ale type of color there. A little bit of yellow, light brownish honey type. We said there. Okay, let's give it a pour. Actually, let's smell it. Warm, again, those English laurel, a little bit of graham cracker coming out there. So let's give it a pour. By the way, an Alishan and Lishans are often great teas for cold brewing in summertime. Cold brew will bring out a lot of those components without over steeping. A note also, a lot of your tightly rolled oolongs like this one, like a Taiwanese higher mountain type of oolong, depending on how they're made, it can take more than one steeping for those to fully open up and unfurl. We got these to open up and unfurl on the first steep, which could be an indicator that it's not going to it's going to give up. It's going to infuse, most of the first time, and then not give you a lot of follow-up infusions. Off camera tastings with this tea, I was able to get several more, 3 or 4 more infusions out of this of a good intensity. Of course, you had to steep it longer, and you may need to raise up your water temperature a little bit more to bring it just off the boil or something, so that it does. You're going to have to put a little more effort into that steeping so that it does release something. one more time. Graham cracker, English laurel, those components are still there. Floral notes, or I should say other floral notes. A little bit of that something orchid component still present. You know, we noticed in the dry leaf. Astringency is there, and the astringency is higher than some of the others, even given, you know, comparing, even though we steep this one a little bit longer. What I'm saying is that if I steep this one, if I took two Alishans of different qualities and steep them together for the same time using the same amount of tea leaf and water temperature, all other things being equal, a lower quality will still have a stronger astringent component to it than the higher quality. It's just that the astringency doesn't exist as much in a higher quality tea, regardless of how much you steep it. So this one does have that an astringent component to it that is higher than some of the others we've tasted here on Walker Tea Review. Other than that, the body, it's not a very thick body. I mean, you don't expect a really heavy, viscous, deep, brothy type of texture, but still, compared to other Alishans, not the thickest, heaviest body either. Aftertaste stays with that drying feeling, stays with that kind of graham crackers, so you feel like you've eaten a mouthful of graham crackers. So it's got a little bit of that honey type of aftertaste, and yet you're looking for that glass of milk to wash it down with. Get a little bit of moisture, get a little bit of coating on the mouth, which is not as present here. Okay. There is a bit of kind of a light, tangy, acidic bite that really just hits on the very tip of your tongue, which gives this kind of fruity, floral zap to it, which is pleasant. But as far as the aftertaste, again, a little bit of that graham cracker, mostly a dry feel in the mouth. Not a lot of real texture in the mouth, but it's not like you've got a bouquet of flowers shoved up your nose either. So that's some can be overpowering on that floral note. So looking at this tea, you know, on balance, it gave a decent cup. It gave something that I would probably put in the area of, I would probably say 8. It's got some potential. Use it, try it as a cold brew, see what you can get out of it that way. So you can use this again on the go or something quick, simple. We'll give a few re-steeps to come out of it. But if you're looking for that, again, this is probably better from what I recall of the other Adagios, other Alishan, but it's a half step, or maybe only one step, when there are a lot of that are 2 or 3 steps above this one. So that's why 88. Hope this helps you determine if this is the Alishan that is right for you and for your current, your current understanding and your current appreciation of teas. Come back with this next time. If you haven't found the right tea or the tea that's right for you yet, we are going to be looking at a Hawaii-grown black tea. Not a lot of those out there. Something new, something to explore together here at Walker Tea Review.